thanks for joining me for a new cut stick stamp video, and today I'm working with this tiny little stamp set from Lawn Fawn that has birthday cake and using that to scrapbook a picture from a birthday party. And so not a particularly out of the box use of the stamp, but what I wanted to do was to show how I'm using a really small stamp on a 12 by 12 page, because a small stamp set like this, it's the more obvious use for it would be a card or a Project Life pocket or something that's in that small format, because it's so little that it might get lost on a bigger page like this, or if you did use it, it might become quite a subtle embellishment rather than something that was a real showpiece. So what I want to do is just use paper and some punches to bring emphasis to that tiny little stamp design, and hopefully it will all be happy in the end. And the only thing I've done here in advance is pick out some papers in my color scheme. I wanted to pick out the colors from this blanket, but soften them just a little bit. So I have yellow, orange, red, and blue. Just get these back in the order. I just cut them so that they were, this one is from a 6x6 pad, and then these were from 12 by 12 sheets, and I just cut them so that each one is a little bit bigger than the photo and the last layer. Background paper is from Pink Paisley's Solstice collection. This one is from Maggie Holmes for Create Paper. And then these three are Chili Bean Soup B-sides from various collections. I think they might all be from the same collection. Don't quote me. I'm not 100% sure. You can see it's not particularly brand new because it has December 2012 on the B-side. Or the A side, I suppose. And just going to stick these down so that I have this nice colorful spot of layering that's going to naturally bring the attention to the photo. And my photo has that white border, so that's going to help it not get lost in all the pattern papers. And then I want to bring in somewhere for journaling. So I've brought in a journaling card from a Project Life kit and these stamps as embellishment. And I have a little bit more paper to bring in. I think I'll go ahead and add ink to the Project Life card and find a spot for this to go. I think this would be quite nice just at the side. I wondered how many layers I should tuck behind. I think it'll go right over here. And then I've got this horizontal line that mimics the horizontal lines in the background paper, so I think I want to run something along this kind of imaginary horizontal line here so that it's not quite so imaginary. And I've got two shades of blue here. So this one is from Create Paper's Craft Market 6x6 pad. And this one is Basic Gray from the new J'adore collection. And I just like that navy with the lighter blue, and then the reversed lighter blue with the navy. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp on to this one. And I know that when I stamp on top of the layout, it makes some of you nervous. Sorry, it's just the way I go. I don't mean to make you nervous, I promise. And just thinking ink color, I might go ahead and stamp that in navy, which I don't have to hand. So 2 seconds. Okay, so the navy in my collection is the Jenny Bolin Spice Tin Blue. And I'm just going to stamp a few of the cakes, but I'm going to spread them out so that I can use the circle punches to make them into little embellishments. And I'll do the little individual cake slice as well. And there's a candle to go on the bigger cake. I mean, obviously it could go on either cake, but I'm going to put it on the bigger cake. So on my blog today there are also a bunch of samples of this stamp made into other projects. So you can see how I've used it in a pocket page and how I've used it on some cards as well. Different looks and different papers and colors and all those things. So I'm just going to cut in a little bit here so that I can center that cake a little bit better. These are Fisker's circle stamps, but the idea would work with anything that cuts a circle. Circle cutter, dies, silhouette, whatever you have handy. But I like my circle punches. Use them a lot. So 3 big cakes, and I think, let's see, I think the small cake will still need to go on that size of punch. I think it will get lost. It'll be too big on this smaller one. So I'm going to try. Oh, actually it fits. That's perfect. So I'll do small circles for the smaller individual cake. Then I want to do some layers to go behind there in the darker color. So those in the navy. Let's see how that looks. I think brown, I added brown to these paper edges, but I don't tend to like brown ink on light blue paper. So I'm just going to look for my blue ink and do some navy around the edge of the lighter paper. This step is completely optional, but I just like the definition that it gives to all the edges. I think it's something you either love or hate, and probably if you hate it, you might not hate how it looks, but you hate the time it adds in or the mess that it adds to your fingers. But I don't think it's too bad when you use the ink applicator. I'm way messier if I have to do it straight from the ink pad. Yeah. And I think if you're using lots of different collections, I know I've said this a million times if you've watched before, sorry, that if you're using lots of different collections, using ink around the edges is just one way that you can make everything feel like it belongs together even when it doesn't. See, if I show you the 2 pieces side by side, so this one's inked and this one's not, this one just looks so much more finished. It looks like I bought it in a die cut pack like that, to me, anyway. So, there we go. I like the faded edges and that little bit of gradient around it. Okay, so these little pieces, the little cakes, are going to go on top of the scallop circles. And I think it might be nice to put the larger ones on a different color. I think maybe the red, because in that background the red is one of the smaller stripes, but there's quite a lot of red in here. Go ahead and do the edges of this while I'm at it. I don't know if little pieces like that, when it's a navy blue paper, if you can see the edge when it's there in the video, but to my eye I can see that white edge to the paper, and it's not my favorite thing. I'd rather it be the same color as the paper on the top, so I just repeat the same thing. Okay, 6 pieces ready to go now, and I did add brown ink to the edge of the red, and this one I didn't have quite enough paper to make that full circle, so I'm going to tuck that one underneath the photo there. I'll bring this over just a little bit because I don't want it to be exactly in line with the edge of the orange there. I'd rather it be a little bit offset. So we can do 2 there. And then I'd like to go up the page here, but I don't want to put the red paper next to the red, so put it underneath the orange. And then on this side, I need to do the blue on top because I have the red pattern paper there. So if I overlap them, let's see if I can make it so the red doesn't touch the red. Not really. Maybe I add in another little strip there. Put another little bit of orange to break up the colors. I think it doesn't need to be quite so tall. There we go. And this one's going to go off the edge of the page. That's alright. As long as I'm not in the middle of his little happy face, I think I'm okay with that. So just turn it over, take off the extra. Yeah. And before I forget, I'll go ahead and add the blue there. Okay, so they're looking a little bit disjointed at the moment, but I've placed the embellishment and I have things in the right spots on the page to make me happy. So now I can start building and make them make a bit more sense. So I bring in some thickers for my title and some small letter stickers. So some small red pebble stickers, and then chipboard tile in blue and cream, and then this blue kind of textured chipboard, and those are both from previous Amy Tangerine collections. Okay, lettering all in place, and I want to add a little bit more to these embellishment groupings to bring them into focus, and I want to add some color to the cakes as well. And I have some little flare badges, the October Afternoon tin pins from the Cakewalk collection, which is going back a little bit, but they should fit in well in these little groups. I think I might go ahead and use 3. I've had them in my stash long enough that I should just use them rather than worry about using too many on one page, because clearly it would be better to get them on a page than just keep them in my stash forever. Three of those, and then these enamel dots are My Mind's Eye Jubilee, which just seem to have a nice balance of colors here. So I've added the blue and the yellow into those little groups, and I thought I might scatter the turquoise on the stripes of the pattern paper to emphasize those lines that I kind of wanted to imply, just imaginary little lines. I only have 3 of these little red ones, so maybe I'll go ahead and add a little bit of red as well. There we go. I think it needs a little bit of sparkle, so I think gold might be the best bet to pick up on all that yellow. We'll still have a little bit of my gold color mist, color shine. Add that along that same line. And then I'll finish with some color on the stamped images. I have 4 colors of colored pencil that I'm going to use on the cake. So 2 colors of brown for the cake itself and 2 colors of blue for the icing. I'm just going to start with the lighter brown color in the cake and then go back in with the darker brown to add some shading. And that messy coloring is exactly how I'm going to finish it. Just really loose shading with 2 colors, the lighter color, then the darker color, and then go back and rub over the top of the darker color with the lighter color to soften it a little bit. Added a little bit of red just for the little flame on the candle, and that's it. And I wanted to keep it from going too big over the top from this because the photo's quite busy and I want you to be able to look in, and this is already quite a lot of embellishment on a really busy pattern paper, so I'm going to leave it there before I add so much that the little picture and story is lost. So that one goes into my album and documents the story of Wonder Boy wanting everyone's hands off his plate. Everybody else would share, but not him. So thanks so much for watching. Please stop at Shimelle.com to see other projects done with this lovely little set of cake stamps from Lawn Fawn, and I would love if you subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.